Stepbrother's lies turned the divorce into a war. The manipulation he pulled on family left everyone in shock. I never thought I'd end up sitting in a courthouse hallway, watching my stepbrother Zachary pace like a caged animal. He's 44 tall, always dressed like he's going to a job interview even when he's just running errands. On the surface, Zachary looks like he has his life together. But under that polished exterior, pure chaos. This whole mess started last year when Zachary's wife, Melissa, finally filed for divorce. They'd been married for almost 15 years, and honestly, nobody was surprised it was ending. Melissa had put up with his lies for way too long. But what shocked me was how quickly Zachary turned the divorce into a circus of manipulation, dragging me, my mom, and even my younger sister Emily into the crossfire. The first red flag came when Zachary called me late one night. "Listen," he said, his voice low, almost conspiratorial. "Melissa's gonna say things that aren't true. I just need you to back me up. Family sticks together, right?" I froze. "Back you up how?" "Just if anyone asks, you know I never touched the savings account. That's her story, not mine. Except I knew he had touched it. I'd literally been with him at the bank months earlier when he bragged about borrowing the money to cover some business deal that never materialized. Still, I didn't answer right away. And that silence? He pounced on it. "Come on, man," Zachary pressed. "Don't leave me hanging here. You know how manipulative Melissa can be. She's just trying to ruin me." That was classic Zachary turning the tables, making himself the victim before anyone else could. When I told my mom about the call, she sighed and rubbed her temples. "He's your brother. He just needs support right now. Maybe don't make it worse." But Emily wasn't having it. At 29, she'd been burned by Zachary's lies before. "Don't you see what he's doing?" she snapped at Mom during Sunday dinner. "He's setting us up to be his alibis. It's all manipulation." Mom looked torn, like she always does when Zachary's involved. He's her stepson, but she raised him since he was 12. She still sees the kid who struggled after his dad remarried, not the grown man who can twist any story to suit himself. Things really escalated at the courthouse the first time we showed up for the divorce proceedings. Melissa's lawyer laid out evidence that Zachary had drained nearly $30 from the joint account. He leaned over to me before the session started, whispering, "Remember what I said, just keep quiet unless they ask you." My stomach dropped. I realized in that moment he wasn't just lying to Melissa, he was roping me into it. And when Melissa stood up, her voice trembling but steady, and said, "Your Honor, he's been lying to me and everyone around him for years," I swear Zachary smirked. Like he thought he could still spin this. That was when I knew this divorce wasn't just going to destroy his marriage, it was going to drag the rest of us down with him. The second hearing was when everything really blew up. By then, Melissa had gathered more documents, bank statements, emails, even texts. I'll never forget sitting in the stiff wooden bench as she handed a folder to the judge. Zachary's face stayed calm, but I could see his jaw tighten. The lawyer read aloud, "Zachary, you promised me this was a temporary transfer. Why are there thousands missing from our retirement?" Melissa's voice cracked. "He told me he was moving it for tax benefit. I believed him, but then I found out he wired half of it to an account in his name only." I swear I felt everyone's eyes shift toward me and my mom, like we were somehow part of his scheme. My palms went sweaty. When court recessed, Zachary cornered me in the hallway. "She's making me look like a thief," he hissed. "You know I had good intentions. Just tell them I talked to you about investing, that it was legit." I shook my head. "Zach, I'm not lying under oath for you." His expression darkened in a way I'd never seen before. "So you're choosing her over me? Blood means nothing, huh?" That cut deep. He knew damn well family loyalty mattered to me. But I also knew he was twisting it, weaponizing it like he always does. Emily walked up just then, holding a coffee, and caught the tail end. "Don't listen to him," she told me bluntly. "He's trying to guilt you. That's his playbook. Same tricks he pulled when he borrowed money from me and never paid it back." Zachary's face turned red. "Oh, here we go. Emily the saint, never wrong, always the victim." He jabbed a finger toward her. "You always hated me." "You make it easy," Emily shot back. I had to physically step between them before courthouse security noticed. The tension was insane. People waiting for their own cases were staring. Later that night, Mom called a family meeting in her living room. The house smelled like the lavender candle she always lights when she's stressed. She sat at the head of the dining table, Zachary on one side, me and Emily on the other. "Enough," Mom said firmly. "This is tearing us apart. Zachary, if you need help, say so, but stop dragging your siblings into this divorce." Zachary leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, looking smug. "Help? I don't need help. I need my family to stop believing Melissa's lies. She's manipulating all of you." I couldn't hold back anymore. "No, Zach, you're manipulating us. You literally asked me to lie for you. That's not family, that's selfish." For a second, the mask slipped. His eyes flickered, and I swear I saw fear. But then he snapped back. "Fine, if you're not with me, you're against me." Mom's eyes filled with tears. "Zachary, please." But he just stormed out, slamming the door so hard the picture frames rattled. The silence afterward was suffocating. Emily muttered, "Classic Zach, when he can't control the narrative, he runs." And in that heavy quiet, I realized we weren't just watching a marriage fall apart, we were watching our family fracture, piece by piece. After that courthouse showdown, things went downhill fast. Zachary didn't just hide behind his lies, he started weaving them around us. I remember getting a text from my mom a few days later. "Zachary just told Emily's friends you were trying to take his side against him. Can you believe that?" I stared at my phone, stunned. That wasn't just a small lie, he was trying to isolate us, make it seem like anyone who disagreed with him was against family. I called Emily immediately. "Did he really tell your friend, Sa?" I asked, furious. "Yep," she said, exhaling sharply. "And he told my coworker you were behind some fake bank transfer allegation." I had to explain it was nonsense. He's literally gaslighting everyone. I felt sick. Zachary had always been good at talking his way out of trouble, but this was next level. And what made it worse? Mom still tried to mediate. "Maybe we should hear him out," she said over dinner that night, her voice tight. "He's under a lot of stress." I slammed my fork down. "Stress doesn't give you the right to lie about your family, Mom. He's manipulating us, and you're enabling it." Emily nodded, her face pale but determined. "Exactly. If we don't stand up now, he'll just keep twisting the truth." Zachary wasn't finished. During one of the mediation sessions, he turned to the lawyer and said, "I feel like my siblings are conspiring with Melissa. They are both against me." I nearly laughed out loud, except the judge glared at him. "Mr. Zachary, are you accusing your family members of dishonesty?" "Yes, Your Honour. I think they've been fed lies by Melissa," he replied, calm as ever. Melissa's lawyer leaned over and whispered to her, "He's insane." The courtroom was quiet for a few moments, everyone processing the audacity. My mom's shoulders slumped. I could see the heartbreak in her eyes. She had always loved Zachary unconditionally, but this was tearing her apart. When we left the courthouse, Zachary cornered me outside again. "You're going to regret not helping me," he hissed, stepping closer. "Everyone will believe her story because of you." I stepped back, trying not to lose my temper. "You're crazy if you think I'm lying for you. You've made that choice, own it." Emily grabbed my arm. "Come on, let's go, don't engage." That night, Mom sat in the living room crying. "I don't know what to do, I just want to fix this," she said. I put my arm around her. "Mom, he's the one causing this. We can't fix him. We can only protect ourselves." For the first time, I felt like we were seeing the full scope of his manipulation. It wasn't just about the divorce. It was about control. He wanted to control the narrative, control our loyalty, control how everyone felt about him. And the worst part? He was almost succeeding. But we weren't going to let him. A week later, things reached a fever pitch. The next hearing was set at the downtown courthouse, a massive grey building with echoing hallways that always made my stomach churn. Zachary had somehow convinced himself this was his chance to win by publicly attacking Melissa and anyone who supported her. We arrived early, Mom, Emily, and I, and immediately felt the tension. Zachary was already there, pacing, muttering under his breath. His tie was crooked, sleeves rolled up, like he was preparing for a battle rather than a legal proceeding. When the session started, Zachary launched into his usual theatrics. "Your Honour," he began, pointing dramatically at Melissa, "this is all set up. My family, my own siblings have been manipulated into thinking I'm guilty of crimes I didn't commit." Melissa's lawyer shot him a look that could freeze fire. "And what evidence do you have of this alleged conspiracy, Mr. Zachary?" "The testimonies, observations, people around me know what's true," he said, sweeping his hand toward Mom, Emily, and me. I could see Mom flinch, guilt flickering across her face. Zachary was a master manipulator, twisting her love for him into doubt. Emily leaned over and whispered, "Don't let him pull you in, Mom, he's lying." Then came the moment that made my blood run cold. Zachary turned to me. "You, Zach, speak up, tell them the truth." I froze. The room went silent. All eyes on me, I could feel my heart hammering in my chest. I swallowed. "The truth?" I said, my voice shaking. "The truth is, Zachary has been lying to everyone, including us. He manipulated Mom, Emily, and me to cover up his financial decisions. He asked me to lie for him, and I refused." Zachary's face contorted in rage. "You'll regret this," he shouted, pounding the bench. "You're betraying your family." The judge banged the gavel. "Order in the court." Melissa finally spoke up, her voice steadier than I expected. "This isn't betrayal, it's honesty. Your manipulation has been ongoing for years, Zachary. We are here to separate fact from fiction." Mom's tears were streaming now, but I could see a flicker of relief in her eyes. She whispered, I didn't want to believe it, but thank you for speaking up." Emily grinned, triumphant. "It took long enough," she muttered under her breath, but there was warmth in her tone. Outside the courthouse, Zachary slammed his car door and drove off, leaving us standing there, shaken but unbroken. For the first time, it felt like the power shift. He wasn't controlling the narrative anymore. His lies had been exposed in front of the judge, his own mother, and the family he tried to manipulate. That night, Mom hugged me tight. "I'm proud of you," she whispered. "He did the right thing, even though it hurt." Emily chimed in, "He can't play us anymore, not together." For the first time in months, I felt a sense of clarity. Zachary's manipulations had been dangerous and emotionally draining, but we had survived. The web of lies he wove around us had been entangled, and while the divorce still had legal hurdles ahead, the emotional battle was ours to win. We weren't going to let him hurt our family anymore. After the courthouse showdown, we thought things might calm down. But Zachary, predictably, wasn't done. A week later, Mom got a frantic call from him. "Mom, you have to come over," he said, voice cracking, full of what sounded like panic. "They're trying to take everything from me. I need your support." Emily and I exchanged a glance. "Don't go alone," I warned Mom. She hesitated, then went anyway. When she returned a few hours later, she looked pale, her hands trembling. He's twisting everything," she said quietly, sinking into the couch. "He told me Melissa is trying to take not just the house, but our savings, that I have to protect him." I felt pressured. Emily immediately stepped in. "Mom, it's manipulation. He's trying to make you feel guilty for not being on his side. Don't fall for it." I could see Mom wanted to argue, but Emily's words struck a chord. She was right. Zachary had been doing this for months, subtly undermining our trust in each other. The next day, things escalated again when Zachary tried to drag me into his narrative one more time. I got a message. "If you don't talk to the lawyer and back me up, Mom's going to think you're against me." I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded it to Emily and Mom. We decided to take action together this time. We called Zachary, all three of us on speakerphone. Mom started gently, "Zachary, we can't be part of your lies anymore. We love you, but we can't cover for something that's not true." His voice rose instantly. "So you're all against me? Even Mom?" "No, we're not against you," Emily said firmly. "But we won't lie for you. You need to take responsibility for your actions." For a few seconds, the line went silent. Then Zachary snapped. "You'll regret this, you'll see," then hung up. It was clear he was spiraling, grasping at control that had already slipped through his fingers. He tried manipulating Mom individually afterward, sending endless messages, guilt-tripping her about loyalty, and painting Melissa as the villain. But this time, Mom didn't fall for it. "We're done being pawns," she told him in a final text. "Your lies, your manipulation, it stops here. I love you, but this is your responsibility." For the first time, Zachary had no leverage. No one to gaslight, no one to twist into his narrative. We'd united as a family, seen through his deception, and drawn boundaries. The divorce itself continued, of course. Zachary still tried small manipulations in court, but with the truth coming out and our family united, his schemes had lost their power. Melissa started to rebuild her life without fear of his lies, and Mom, Emily, and I started to repair the emotional damage he'd caused. That night, we sat together in the living room, exhausted but relieved. Emily made tea, Mom curled up on the sofa, and I felt a rare sense of peace. Zachary could throw tantrums, spin stories, and manipulate for as long as he wanted, but he couldn't break the bond we'd rebuilt. We had survived the storm, and for the first time, it felt like we might actually be free from his lies. The next hearing was supposed to be a formality division of property, minor settlements, nothing dramatic. But Zachary, of course, had other plans. He arrived with that same confident swagger, like he was stepping onto a stage. This time, he wasn't subtle, he went full-blown performance mode, turning the courtroom into a theatre of his own invention. He stood up as soon as the judge called the session to order, waving his hands dramatically. Your Honour, I must protest. My own family is conspiring against me. They've been feeding Melissa lies. Melissa's lawyer raised an eyebrow. And what evidence do you have of this alleged conspiracy? Zachary scanned the courtroom, landing on Mom and Emily. They know what's happening. They've been silent, complicit even. I took a deep breath and stood. No, Your Honour, they are not complicit. Zachary has been lying and manipulating everyone to protect himself. They've already been threatened and pressured to lie for him. That's the truth. Zachary's face contorted in disbelief, a mix of rage and panic. You regret this. You're destroying me. Mom finally spoke, her voice steady despite the tears in her eyes. Zachary, this isn't about destroying you. It's about facing the truth. You've lied and manipulated for months, and I won't let you drag the family into it anymore. Emily chimed in, her tone unwavering. We're not your enemies, but we won't be your shields. You need to deal with your choices yourself. For a few moments, the courtroom was silent except for the rustling of papers and the judge clearing his throat. Zachary's lawyer tried to intervene, but even they looked uncertain, like this was spinning out of control. Finally, Zachary blurted out, Fine, everyone against me, then I see who my real family is. He stormed out so fast his chair tipped over behind him. Security followed, but it didn't matter, the damage was done. Outside, we stood together, breathing in the crisp air, the courthouse looming behind us. Mom grabbed both Emily and me, holding us close. I'm proud of all of you. You did the right thing. Emily nodded, exhaling sharply. It's over. He can't manipulate us anymore. And in that moment, I realized something important. The power of Zachary's lies relied entirely on isolation and fear. Once we spoke the truth together, exposed his manipulation openly, he had no tools left. No gaslighting, no guilt, no twisting the narrative. The divorce papers would be finalized eventually, but the real victory wasn't legal, it was emotional. Zachary could rage, threaten, and lie all he wanted, but he had lost control over the family he tried to manipulate. That night, Mom made tea, Emily and I laughed quietly over old stories, and for the first time in months, the house felt like a home again. We weren't perfect, there was still some healing to do. But Zachary's web of lies had finally unraveled, and we had come through stronger together. I realized that day that manipulation can only hold power if you let it, and sometimes, speaking the truth, even when terrifying, is the only way to break free. Months later, the divorce was officially finalized. Zachary had moved into a small apartment downtown, out of our lives, but still occasionally sending frantic texts that went unanswered. For the first time in years, the tension that had shattered every family gathering started to lift. Mom, Emily, and I had a quiet Sunday brunch at our favourite little cafe near the park. Sunlight streamed through the windows, casting warm patterns on the table. Mom stirred her coffee thoughtfully and said, I can't believe how manipulative he was. I always wanted to see the best in him, but this was too much. Emily nodded, sipping her tea. He's smart, I'll give him that, but clever doesn't mean honest. It just means dangerous if no one calls him out. I smiled faintly, thinking back to the courtroom battles, the threats, the nights spent worrying whether we'd been drawn into his lies too far. You know, I said, I think the hardest part was realizing he didn't just lie to Melissa, he lied to all of us, even Mom. Mom looked down, biting her lip. Yeah, I guess I wanted to believe my stepson would never manipulate me. It's hard admitting you were fooled by someone you love. Emily reached over and squeezed Mom's hand. We're past that now, we saw the truth, and we faced it, that's what matters. He doesn't get to control our emotions anymore. I nodded. Exactly, and I think, in a weird way, it's kind of liberating. We've all learned where the boundaries are. No more lies, no more manipulation, just honesty. We talked for hours that morning, not about Zachary, but about ourselves, about rebuilding trust, sharing responsibilities, and planning small trips we postponed for years because the emotional stress had been too much. It felt light, and that lightness was new. Even Mom, who had been torn between her love for Zachary and the reality of his deceit, seemed relieved. I feel like a weight has been lifted, she said, smiling genuinely for the first time in months. We survived this, together. And we had. The house felt warmer, laughter returned to Sunday dinners, and even little moments like Emily and I joking over a shared dessert felt significant. The emotional manipulation that had dominated our lives for so long was gone. I sometimes think about Zachary, and I don't feel anger anymore, just sadness. Sadness for someone so capable of love, yet so willing to twist it into control. But more than that, I feel proud. Proud that we didn't let fear or guilt trap us. Proud that honesty won, even when it was terrifying. Family isn't perfect. We're messy, we argue, we hurt each other sometimes. But after everything Zachary put us through, I know one thing for certain, speaking the truth, standing together, and refusing to be manipulated is what makes a family unbreakable. That chapter is closed. And for the first time in a long time, it feels like we can finally